Hi everyone, I'm back with another video. This time it is a reading wrap up for June. So I read 22 books in June. You can see a huge stack of them here in the camera. As you are all probably very well aware, June was Pride Month. Or it is Pride Month. So I know I'm a bit late, but happy Pride. Let me just go and shut the door properly. So, I decided to read mostly queer books or queer orientated books. There are a couple arcs that I've cropped in there that aren't queer based, but I try to stick with queer books. So, everything is up on Goodreads, ready to go. So, let me take the top off. So, first book I read was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is the Netflix tie-in cover. So, this is about... I'll just read the back actually. So it says, a convict with... Apparently English is difficult today. A convict with a thirst for revenge, a sharpshooter who can't walk away from a wager, a runaway with a privileged past, a spy known as the Wraith, a heart-trender using her magic to survive the slums, a thief with a gift unlikely to escape, and Kaz Brekker and his crew are the only ones who might stand between the world and destruction if they don't kill each other first. So, this is set in the Shadow and Bone world. I have not read the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I know, come at me for that. This is queer because Waylon and Jesper are one of them I know at least one of them is bisexual. I'll try and see if I can give you a rundown of why it's queer. If my brain kind of falters, you know why. So I give this 4 stars. So the characters are basically what make this entire story a story. And they're what make it amazing. It's very gripping, it's very fantastical, and I love that. So Kaz is my favourite. I believe this is Kaz here, with the lovely crow on the cane. He's very smart, he's very cunning, but he's also a very good representation of the disabled community. And that was written very well as well. And obviously the subtle queer representation with Waylon and Jesper. I think I'm saying that right. So that was a really, really good book. I'm going to do this in a very difficult way. Then I read probably the most controversial book in this pile. Call Me By Your Name by Andrea Ackerman. Now, if you don't know what this is, what rock have you been living under? So this is about Elio. He's 17 years old, and he lives in his father's guest house. He lives in the Italian Riviera, and he has a romance with his father's house guest, Oliver. Now, this is controversial due to the age gap between Oliver and Elio, but it's also become controversial due to something he did. The actor who played Oliver in the movie. I can now not watch the movie because of it. I wish I never found out. So, unrelenting currents of obsession and fear, fascination, desire, and threatening to overwhelm the lovers, who at first feign indifference to the charge between them. What grows from the depths of their soul is a romance of scarcely 6 weeks duration, and an experience that marks them for a lifetime. For the two that discover on the Riviera are during a sultry evening in Rome, and one thing they both already fear that may never truly find again. Total intimacy. Now, again, controversial, I gave this 5 stars. This has actually always been one of my favourite queer novels. Elio, I believe, is gay, Oliver's bisexual. That's where I'm going with that. And despite the problems that have happened and along the way and what this has brought up, it is a very beautifully heartbreaking romance between 2 guys who can't stay together for the various reasons. There's so much pining in this. So much pining. I know it's so short, but there's so much pining. It's a feeling of lust, falling in love, and because they're young, it captures a feeling probably we've all had at some point in our lives. And my hair is going everywhere. I've got a fan on, so you can probably hear that. It's a feeling of young love, and I do love it despite all the controversy that surrounds it. Then I read this one. My Policeman by Bethan Roberts. Yes, this is Harry Styles on the cover. This is the movie tie-in cover. So Tom and Patrick are... Tom is... bi? Patrick is gay. So it's set in the 1950s in Brighton, and that's when Marion, the female main character, first catches the sight of Tom. This is Tom. And he teaches her how to swim in the shadow of the pier, and she's absolutely smitten with him. And a few years later in the Brighton Museum, Patrick meets Tom, and he's absolutely besotted with him. And he opens his eyes to a more glamorous and sophisticated world. So Tom is their policeman, and in this age it's safer for him to marry Marion. The two lovers must share him until one of them breaks and the three lives are destroyed. Now, I have to admit, the movie was a lot better than the book. A lot better. So I only gave this 3 stars. Despite having a very straightforward plot, despite having the rep it does for the LGBT community, especially for the time period that it's actually set in, more research could have been done. It's a very badly organised, written story. In the structural context of everything, it is so badly organised. There's another book in here that's very much the same. The movie did it 10 times better. Just 10 times better. Marion was absolutely bloody insufferable. I'm sure she was made and intended to be that way, but she was absolutely bloody insufferable. I was absolutely disgusted with her betrayal of Patrick and the way she ended up looking after him in the end, despite what happened to him. Her looking after him was only for her. It was to make up for her own guilt, not for him. Sadly, as much as I do adore this cover, this book is going. And I'm gonna shift a couple of things. Everything just fell. I'll pop that there. Oh. Yeah, someone fell. There we go. Now I've got some space there. Tie your shoelace after. Yeah, My Policeman. If you want to actually interact with that movie, watch the movie. Don't bother with the book. So then I thought, well, having read Six of Crows, I'm going to read. This is damaged. Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. So this is the second in the Six of Crows series. I will not read the back. This will spoil everything. But this was a 5-star. Absolute joy, this one. So this is where you get to see more of Jesper. I want to call him Jasper. That's Twilight. Jesper and Wyland's relationship. And it's very well written. It does raise some diverse topics as well, like abuse and addiction. And it's done in a very respectful way as well. And it does bring some much needed awareness on both topics too. The story itself actually moved in a very slow pace in this one. But it did work very well for the story, and it flowed very well despite being a slower pace. And then I put them in 2 stacks, and now I've done this really annoyingly. I read Welcome to St. Hell, My Trans Teen Misadventure by Lewis Hancock. So Lewis has a few things to say to his younger teen self, Lois. He knows she hates her body. He knows she's confused about who to snog. I'm literally reading this off the back, by the way. He knows she's really a he and will ultimately realise this. But she's going through a whole lot of mess. Some of it funny, some of it not funny at all. But to get to that point, Lewis is trying to tell her this, but she can't quite hear him yet. This is a groundbreaking graphic memoir about being a trans teen from a trans influencer, illustrator, filmmaker, and he is amazing. He's on TikTok if you want to go and check him out. So this I gave 5 stars. I absolutely enjoyed this so much. So this was an amazing way to tell a coming out story. It explained both gender identity and sexuality in a very easy to understand way, and it had some humour in it as well, and telling it through his own way of growing up, especially in a small town. Me and Lewis actually went to the same college. I did not last the 2 years. I moved on to doing uni online. But yeah, we actually landed ourselves in the same college, which is where I first heard about this, quite ironically. And I thought I had to pick myself up a coffee. But overall, this was a great book, and I'd recommend it to anyone. Whether they're actually straight, gay, trans, gender fluid, anything, I would recommend this. It does touch upon eating disorders as well, and there is some nudity in here too. But yeah, it was brilliant. Then I finished my audiobook of New Moon, Twilight New Moon by Stephenie Meyer. This has taken just over half the year to finish, and I'm now on Eclipse. It has been officially 20 years since Twilight, so hey ho, we're getting there. I know I don't have planned to finish out the Twilight series by the end of the year. Next year, we'll see. So I gave Twilight New Moon 5 stars. I mean, Twilight New Moon is my favourite Twilight. Twilight book, Twilight film. Because of the Volturi. I love the Volturi. They're just cunning. They're really cool. The outfits are amazing. I love where they live. I just love everything about them. And I do love the fact that Caius is played by Jamie. Michael Sheen is Arrow. Christopher Heyerdahl is Marcus. I've met Jamie and I've met Marcus. Well, I've met Christopher, who plays Marcus. They are both loving and kind souls. I've also met some of the actual... I've met Cameron, who is Alec. They're lovely people. I do find Edward annoying, though, in this book. I must admit, I do kind of find him annoying in the film, too. The way he just leaves Bella. But Bella is at her most whiniest in this book, I think. I don't really rewatch the first, third, or fourth Twilight film. I am openly going to say that as a Twilight fan, I don't really rewatch them. Just the second and the last, because those are my favourites. But yeah, that's my rant about Twilight New Moon. And I did give it 5 stars. There's a lot of 5 stars. So then I went on a Torchwood adventure with Another Life by people Angelades. Angeleled. Someone please help. Peter Angelades. I think I've butchered that. To hell and back. Sorry, Peter. So, this is the first in the Torchwood series, which is, I think, over 50 odd books. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know it's 15 at the minute to what I actually own. I don't own all 15, I just know that's what it is because of the numbers that I have. So, thick black clouds are blotting out the skies over Cardiff as the 24 inches of rain fall in 24 hours. The city centre's drainage system collapses. The capital's homeless are being murdered. Their mutilated bodies left lying in the soaked streets around the nuclear facility. I don't speak Welsh. I think you gathered that from the last video. I don't speak Welsh and I don't speak Scottish. Tracked down by Torchwood, the killer calmly drops eight stories to his death, but the killings don't stop there. Their investigations lead Jack Harkness, Gwen Cooper and Toshiko Sato to a monster in a bathroom, a mystery at the army base, and a hunt for stolen nuclear fuel rods. Meanwhile, Owen Harper goes missing from the hub when a game in a second reality leads into an old girlfriend. Something is coming, forcing its way through the rift straight into Cardiff. This was amazing. I gave this 5 stars. Absolutely full of gory graphic detail. I will say that now. If you read this, just be aware of that. The details of the murders, it goes into absolute depth. So Jack and his team are just completely investigating Cardiff. The story adds actual so much depth to the already very expansive Hooniverse. My mum finds the word Hooniverse hilarious. The story adds so much more to the characters. It was thrilling. It literally felt like an episode and a mystery thriller rolled into one. It was a great way to launch the book series, and it filled a void until more visual content come out, and to add in between rewatches. Yes, we are now in this void of nothingness. Thank you, Russell. But yes, this was amazing. Yeah, we are stuck in between. Are we getting more? Are we not? Are we on hiatus? We have nothing. It's lovely. Life of being a Doctor Who fan. Anyone? Then I read Naturally Tan by Tan France. I do love Tan France. This is actually signed as well. There you go. My finger was on it. So this is his memoir. So growing up gay in a traditional South Asian family in South Yorkshire, Tan France could never imagined he'd become part of a worldwide phenomenon. One of the very few people of colour at his school, he experienced racist bullies and found solace at his granddad's denim factory, and eventually discovered his true calling at a fashion college. Told with honesty and humour for the first time, Tan reveals the experiences that have made him witty, compassionate, and the man he is today. This, I give 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed this. I mean, I love Tan. It's very, very insightful. It's all just the fascinating story of how he became who he became. And he's a very icon in the fashion world. He did Say Yes to the Dress in the UK as well, which I watched the entirety of. I don't look like a reality person. I am not a reality person, but Say Yes to the Dress, I will say yes to. Sad, innit? I love it. He seems a very, very down-to-earth and a very sweet guy. But seeing how he's actually... One of the big things was he talked about being profiled at airports. And I never would have imagined him dealing with that. Not because of him... How do I put it? Without sounding weird. I'd never imagined that would be something he would have to deal with because of how... well known he is, but yet because he is well known, he gets it more, and it's a bit ridiculous, really. But that's what happens. But as well, seeing how his family and people accept him for who he is, despite as well him being Muslim, is amazing. So yeah, and his husband's a Mormon. Told you, gay people are in every religion, and it's nice to see. I did love Queer Eye as well when it was out. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I need to rewatch it. Desperately need to rewatch Queer Eye. Then I read Purring, which is my works sprayed-edged copy by Casey McQuiston. So this, I have read I DNF'd another Casey McQuiston book, which was Red, White and Royal Blue. Don't come at me, I hated it. I just slapped myself. So this one is about Theo and Kit. So this has got non-binary rapping as well as bisexuality, pansexual, gay, that kind of stuff. So they've been childhood best friends, crushes, lovers, and after a brutal breakup 4 years ago, estranged exes. It's not until they are trapped on board a tour bus, whatever you want to call it, that Theo and Kit realise they've accidentally booked the same European food and wine tour. And now they are stuck with each other for 3 weeks on one of the most romantic sights and sensuous flavours of France, Spain and Italy. But it'll be fine, they're absolutely over each other. So when Theo suggests a friendly wager to see who can sleep with the hot Italian tour guide first, Kit is game. And in fact, why stop there? Why not a full-on European hookup competition? But sometimes a taste of everything only can make you crave what you can't have. I gave this 5 stars, which was an absolute shocker to me. And I also did say I told you I would read it. I loved this. So it had great bisexual representation, great non-binary representation, and it was just a huge theme of self-discovery. And it brings out the summary feeling of summer. I wrote that really weirdly in this review for some daft reason. It was both heartbreaking, full of love, aspects of found family and self-sabotage. The story was so much depth in so many areas. And Kit and Theo are characters that you can easily fall in love with. And you just want to root for them. Then I read on my Kindle a book called Him by Sarana Brown and Elle Kennedy. So, they don't play for the same team, or do they? Jamie Cannon has never been able to figure out how he lost his closest friend. 4 years ago, his tattooed, wisecracking, rule-breaking roommate cut him off without an explanation. So what if things got a little weird on their last night of hockey camp in the summer? They were 18. It was just a little drunken foolishness. Nobody died. Ryan Wesley's biggest regret is coaxing his very straight friend into a bet that pushed the boundaries of their relationship. Now with their college team set to face off at the national championships, he'll finally get a chance to apologise. But all it takes is one look at his long-time crush and the ache is stronger than ever. Jamie has waited a long time for answers, but walks away with only more questions. Can one night of sex ruin a friendship? If not, how about 6 more weeks of it? When Wesley turns up to coach alongside Jamie for one more hot summer at camp, Jamie has a few things to discover about his old friend and a big one to learn about himself. Even as warnings. Warnings contain sexual situations, hotties on hockey ice skates, skinny dipping, shenanigans in an SUV, and proof that coming out to your family on social media is a dicey proposition. It is a very dicey proposition. I gave this 4 stars. It's a great story of discovering your sexuality and rekindling an old friendship. I did find some of the dialogue, though, that it read a lot younger than the characters. So it was a bit... And I'm glad that the character of Holly was an understanding character. Because I did kind of have a concern they might have turned her into a bitch. Oh, there's a bitey fly in here. I've already been bit several times this year. You will discover what this will be. Rainbow Rowell's stories, Scattered Showers. This is also my Waterstones exclusive. What's it saying? Lovely jubbly. It also has rainbow. This actually was not as queer as I thought this was going to be, but I did read it all. So I gave this one 4 stars. So it's full of different short stories. It just writes about love life in a way that feels true. It gives 9 beautiful crafted love stories. Girl meets boy camping outside movie theatre. Best friends debate on the merits of high school dances. A prince romances a troll. A girl romances an imaginary boy, and Simon Snow himself returns for a holiday adventure. I have quarrels with Simon Snow. I really do. You will find out in a little while. So it was a very good short stories. Some of them, a few weren't my thing, should have been longer. But the ones I did like had a certain charm, romantic feel, and deeper meaning. Very simple and short review for a collection of short stories. And then, dang, I read Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. I think we all know what this is. In a darkened room, a young man sits telling the macabre and eerie story of his life. The story of a vampire. gifted with eternal life, cursed with exquisite craving for human blood. This was a 5-star. Gothic atmosphere was absolutely exquisite in this. It felt like a Gothic classic that was written in the late 1800s and 1900s, yet this was written in the 90s. Louis, who is the vampire we follow in this, his inner monologue is very thought-provoking. I mean, his inner monologue. Because most of this is his inner monologue. It left the questions of the fact that was he capable of love? Did it make him less of a monster if he was? And if he's truly immortal, does it mean he leads a life of loneliness? I love it. I've got some of the others left to read, so I'm going to thoroughly enjoy them. Then, is that the right one? No, it's not. It's one underneath. I thought I'd dabble in a bit more Cassandra Clare. Gotta love me Queen Cassandra. So, this is my Waterstones exclusive edition of the Red Scrolls Magic. This is about Alec and Magnus, my boy Magnus. I love Magnus. I fall in love with him more every time I read about him. So, all Magnus Bane wanted was a vacation, and boy does he bloody deserve one. A lavish trip across Europe with Alec Lightwood, a shadow hunter who against all odds is finally his boyfriend. It doesn't seem like too much for the centuries-old High Warlock to ask for, but no sooner have they settled in Paris when an old friend arrives with the news of a demon-worshipping cult called the Crimson Hat, and that is bent on causing chaos around the world. A cult that was apparently founded by Magnus himself years ago as a joke. Magnus Bane gets himself into trouble. Now Magnus and Alec must race across Europe to track down the Crimson Hand and its elusive new leader before the cult can cause any more damage. As the quest for answers becomes increasingly dire, Magnus and Alec have to trust each other more than ever. This was amazing. This was a 5-star. I mean, Cassandra Clare, in my eyes, can do no wrong. Although she kind of did me wrong with City of Glass, but I shall forgive her for City of Glass. I mean, amazing. Magnus has become my favourite of the series now. It's perfect to read in Pride Month. Absolutely perfect. I love the shininess of this cover. Is this the one with the alternate dust jacket? No, it's the other one. Magnus and Alec's relationship are just a true example of what love should look like. I mean, they are one of two of the couples in fiction that do make me believe in true love. You will find, I think you should know the other two. Well, the other one, I should say. Because they are right here. Now, you're probably thinking, why on earth did you decide to read this hunky beast in Pride Month? This is the nice and accurate Good Omens TV companion. Well, that's because A, they're gay, B, gender fluid, C, agender. This was 5 stars. I mean, this was such a fun book. This is literally just everything about the production of the first season. And it actually gave so much... I can't hold this with one hand. It gave so much insight to the production, and from the very beginning to the very, very end. And how each actor thought of the characters and thought of each other. It was longingly beautiful. And I've got to put this down because it's heavy. And then Nick and Charlie, this cover version of it, by Alice Oseman, not the Rainbow Sprayed one, no. So everyone knows that Nick and Charlie are the perfect couple, that they are inseparable, but now Nick is leaving for university and Charlie will be left behind at sixth form. As the time to say goodbye draws closer, both boys begin to question, is the love strong enough to survive being apart? After all, first loves rarely last forever. Don't we all know that? I gave this 4 stars. Truly would have thought this would have got 5, but it didn't. I mean, it is a very charming and sweet novella, but the one thing that didn't make it 5-star was the whole breakup. It was toxic as shit. Especially Nick and Charlie and Teo and his girlfriend. It was very immature. it was just plainly immature for these characters to do that. And then we got My Dear Boys again. So this is The Lost Book of the White by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. Wesley Chu did join in and do the writing as well. This is the one with the alternate dust jacket, which I have to show you because it's impeccable. Essentially, it's like the first one, but I mean, look at that. It looks amazing. So The Lost Book of the White is a sequel to the Red Scrolls Magic, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what happened. But they do start enjoying their lives a little bit, and then all goes to shit, basically. Not really what happens in a lot of these Shadowhunter stories. They enjoy their lives and everything goes to shit. But also that is Magnus Bane on the cover as well. And it's blue sprayed edges. So again, another 5-star. I just very much love how protective Magnus was in this album. And seeing him with his child that he has with Alec Max is sweet. It's a very high stakes adventure, and also there's a lot more to do. A lot more to do with the warlocks in this as well. So, perfecto. Then I read Highland Christmas by Amy Quick Parrish. It's a NetGalley arc. I gave it 4 stars. There will be a full review coming soon. And then this is my quarrel with Rainbow Rowell. Carry On. Oh, this is about Simon Snow is the worst chosen one who's ever been chosen. This is what his roommate Baz says, and Baz might be evil and a vampire and a complete git, but he's probably right. Half the time Simon can't even make his wand work, and the other half he sets something on fire. His mentor avoiding him, his girlfriend broke up with him, and there's a magic-eating monster running around wearing Simon's face. I gave this 2 stars. It sucked. It just sucked. I initially gave it 3 and then I bumped it down to a 2. It felt very much like fanfiction, but not in a good way. And that's coming from someone who writes fanfiction and who has been writing fanfiction for a good for a few years. It's too similar to Harry Potter. Way too similar. She took all 7 of the Harry Potter books and smooshed it into one. And didn't do a good job of it. And sadly, this was her last chance to impress me and she didn't. So no more books from her. I've only ever liked one of hers. It's just sad. The other thing I did like was Baz. I will say no more. Then I read Summer Escapes on the Scottish Isles, another arc. This is by Lilac Mills. I got this on NetGalley. I gave this 4 stars. There is already a video on my channel for this, so go check that out. And then I read the Staircase into the Woods by Chuck Wendig. Again, this is the Evernight exclusive. There's an unboxing for this on my channel. This was the last one. May. So this is about a group of friends that investigate a mystery of a strange staircase in the woods. So it's 5 high school friends. They're bonded by an oath, which is called the Covenant. And they protect one another, no matter what. And then they go on this camping trip. And there's a mysterious staircase to absolutely bugger nowhere. And then one walks down it, Matt, and then he disappears. And 20 years later, it reappears, and then they have to go back. Well, they go back to look for him. I gave this one 2 stars. Honestly, the premise was much better than its execution. The characters were starting out very strong. There's a lot of political aspects in this as well, just forewarning you about gender and stuff like that. And just lost its character. They just lost all the character development. And the time jumps were just absolutely messy. You didn't really know whether you were 20 years back in time, 20 years forward in time, unless he actually mentioned Matt's name. It was a very little indication as well. So despite being an absolutely stunning edition, I have to get rid of it. Then the last 2, one was called Secret Lives of the Dead by Tim Leben. This is another NetGalley arc, which I can't really say much about. I gave it 3 stars. There will be a video coming up soon for this one. And then Highland's New Year, which is part of the Highland romance one, by Amy Quick Parrish. I gave that 5 stars, and there will be a NetGalley review for that one as well. So those are all the 22 books I read in June. Most queer. A couple of ones that aren't, but most queer. And sadly 3 are going. Though that is not a lot considering the amount I usually unhaul. So I hope you enjoyed this extremely long video, and I shall see you with some arc reviews. The celebrity video, the next one will be coming soon. I do apologise that it's taken this long. This guy reads a lot of books, apparently. This guy has recommended quite a few. And I don't know what else will come up. Probably should hopefully be an unboxing or 2 in July. I say hopefully. I know there's some due August. There should be at least 1 unboxing in July. So I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'll see you next video. Bye.